So I'm an experimental physicist. So if I'm writing a paper for Nature, that's of course the apex of what I can achieve. लेकिन अगर मैं एक educational journal के लिए एक paper लिखना चाह रहा हूँ where I'm talking about learning experiences, experiment X and Y that happened in a certain environment and what works, उसी को इज्जत नहीं है in general हमारे circles में. तो वो एक बड़ा perception का issue है कि why should pedagogy be seen as a good scholarly intent. और उसका in the larger system उसका बहुत बड़ा जो मसला है वो है with how we perceive the world in which we live in. अब education को एक रोल है, बहुत सारे लोग पेरेंट्स जो हैं यही पूछते हैं कि आपकी डिग्री की वर्थ क्या है, बच्चा कहता है इसके बाद नौकरी कैसे मिलेगी. That's a problem of the universities, that they have really reduced the worth of their graduate to how much money they earn. Schools में तो of course ये issue नहीं है, college universities का तो most definitely ये है, लेकिन all of us are culprits of a very huge problem. I'll give an example. The let's say very visible problems of climate change started impacting us around the same time when computer science was taking off as a field. तो आपके स्कूल के करिकुलम में कौन सी चीज़ मैंडेटरी हुई? क्या प्लानिटरी लेवल पे लॉन्ग टर्म अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ दिस प्लानिट हमारे उसका हिस्सा बन गई कॉन्वर्सेशन का, या वो चीज़ जिसके इकोनॉमिकल बेनिफिट्स बहुत ज़्यादा थे वो बन गई? The latter became a part of that. And even today, currently we struggle a lot in a larger system. If we think about the world in which we live in, I have two young boys, a 6-year-old and a 4.5-year-old, and it's a huge problem for me to think about the world they have inherited. The air quality, we don't see air, तो इसलिए पता नहीं चलता. It's terrible. The students have to think about it. They have inherited this world. The education has to prepare them to live in this world. It can't be offloaded. So we as professors, when we teach, जब ये सवाल किया गया था कि आप, and everyone has said here कि make them think, but when will they think? The problem is that, let's say we focus on STEM. STEM is very, what we call, the way of thinking is something that brings you to one right answer. And this form of learning really requires you to learn a lot of facts. That's why it's taught. आपको एक बच्चा एक question आपसे करता है कि gravity क्यों है, तो बहुत कम लोग उसका जवाब देंगे. In fact, Newton's version of gravity was incorrect, but perhaps at school level it's not known, so they would not talk about it. तो बच्चा वो सवाल नहीं करता, वो fact याद करता रहता है. और जो ये वाली जो learning है, और उसके बाद जब आप divergent, this is very convergent learning, तो जब divergent learning की आप expect करते हैं, तो you want them to ask bigger questions, and you want the professors to be trained to allow the students to think about these bigger questions and have the heart to understand that they would come up with things today, a modern student would come up with things today that you might not know of. Because when they leave the class, they have access to more resources than any of us had when we were in school and college. And this humility is very important to understand the role. तो जितने असातिज़ा K through 12 में तो बहुत अच्छी research होती है in fact, and I hope that Pakistani educators at the K through 12 level do look at that, क्योंकि उसमें बहुत innovation है. दुनिया में सबसे अच्छा काम जो education में जो proper research और K through 12 में है, क्योंकि उसके बाद जो हम जैसे लोग हैं, unfortunately there's a lot of hubris involved. We don't want people to come and tell us how to learn, and that's why when I mentioned earlier, जब आप subtle पे काम करते हैं, उसका जो overall placement of in hierarchy of learning है बहुत कम है. I would strongly argue कि जो अभी दुनिया जा रही है, the way the world is changing, we need to heal the planet. We need to make sure we have a planet to live. And that can't happen by just thinking about how to contribute to the economy of the world in meaningful ways without, in the absence of what's happening. If there's no planet to live 100 years from now, it's a very small time at the scale of this planet. There's no point investing in other things.